Clash on the Great Plains, the struggle between native tribes and settler expansion. The Plains Indian Wars were a series of conflicts between Native American tribes of the Great Plains and the U.S. government that spanned much of the 19th century. These wars were fueled by cultural misunderstandings, competition for resources, and expansive colonial policies. As settlers pushed westward, tensions over land and sovereignty escalated, setting the stage for violent encounters. In the 1850s, as settlers moved into territories traditionally occupied by Native American tribes, early encounters often led to conflict. The westward expansion, driven by the promise of new land and resources, encroached on the hunting grounds and sacred sites of the indigenous peoples, sparking initial resistance and clashes. The U.S. government played a significant role in provoking the Plains Indian Wars through various actions and policies. By negotiating treaties that were often broken and implementing military strategies that protected settler interests, the government intensified conflicts with various tribes, undermining promises of peace and cohabitation. Notable Native American leaders emerged during the Plains Indian Wars, defending their people's way of life and territories. Figures like Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, and Chief Joseph became symbols of resistance, leading their warriors in battles against U.S. forces in an effort to preserve their culture and land. On the other side, American military leaders and policymakers such as General George Custer and President Ulysses S. Grant played pivotal roles in shaping the conflicts. Their decisions and strategies often led to significant confrontations, including the infamous Battle of the Little Bighorn, which had lasting impacts on the course of the wars. The discovery of gold in the Black Hills in 1874, a region sacred to the Sioux, dramatically escalated tensions. This discovery prompted a surge of prospectors invading Sioux lands, blatantly ignoring existing treaties and provoking fierce resistance from the Native Americans. The Sand Creek Massacre in 1864 stands as one of the most harrowing confrontations. Colorado militia attacked a peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho village, resulting in the brutal deaths of many Native Americans, including women and children, which intensified the conflict. The Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876 became a legendary conflict where Lieutenant Colonel George Custer's 7th Cavalry was overwhelmingly defeated by a coalition of Native American tribes. This battle stood as a significant victory for the tribes, but also marked a turning point leading to more aggressive military campaigns by the U.S. The Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868 was intended to bring peace by securing Sioux lands from encroachment by settlers and gold miners. However, the U.S. government's failure to enforce this treaty led to continued violations, ultimately contributing to renewed hostilities and wars. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad significantly impacted the Plains Wars by facilitating the movement of settlers and military troops into native territories. This advancement not only encroached on tribal lands, but also disrupted the migration patterns and ecosystems crucial for the survival of Plains tribes. The U.S. Army's use of Native American scouts was pivotal during the Plains Indian Wars. These scouts provided essential skills in tracking and knowledge of the terrain, which were invaluable for the military operations against their own tribes, leading to complex legacies of betrayal and survival. The extermination of the buffalo, a staple for the Plains tribes, had devastating effects. As settlers pushed westward, they slaughtered the buffalo in massive numbers, undermining the Native American way of life by stripping them of their primary food source, cultural icon, and economic base. The reservation system was introduced as a means to manage and control the movements of Native American tribes. Confined to designated areas, tribes were often forced onto land that was far from adequate for sustaining their traditional lifestyles, leading to widespread suffering and dependency. The Dawes Act of 1887 marked a significant shift in U.S. policy towards Native Americans, aiming to assimilate them into American society by dividing communal lands into individual allotments. This act not only disrupted traditional living, but also led to significant loss of tribal lands. The Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890 epitomized the brutal culmination of the Plains Indian Wars. When the U.S. Army killed over 250 Lakota Sioux, including women and children at Wounded Knee Creek, It marked a stark and tragic end to the resistance against U.S. expansion. Christian missionaries played a pivotal role during the Plains Indian Wars, focusing on converting Native Americans to Christianity. Their efforts were intertwined with U.S. cultural assimilation policies, aiming to integrate indigenous peoples into Western ways of life, often at the cost of their cultural heritage. The warrior culture among the Plains tribes, epitomized by figures like Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, began to wane after the Plains Indian Wars. The transition from a nomadic to a reservation lifestyle, enforced by U.S. policies, significantly diminished traditional roles and practices. Legal and political repercussions for Native Americans post-wars were severe. Many treaties were broken by the U.S. government, leading to loss of lands and sovereignty for the tribes. This period marked a significant shift in Native American rights and their struggle for autonomy. The legacy of the Plains Indian Wars is a poignant chapter in Native American communities. It is remembered as a time of resistance and immense loss. Memorials and educational programs today aim to honor this history and educate the broader public about these events. The portrayal of the Plains Indian Wars in American history and media has often been romanticized or skewed, focusing on frontier bravery and omitting the Native American perspective. Recent efforts in film and literature attempt to address these biases, presenting more balanced narratives. Reconciliation efforts for historical injustices from the Plains Indian Wars have gained momentum in recent times. Modern movements focus on acknowledging past wrongs, offering reparations, and incorporating Native American perspectives into educational curricula to foster greater understanding and healing between communities. The continuing impact of the Plains Indian Wars shapes current U.S. and Native policies by influencing land rights debates and resource management. These historical conflicts underscore the necessity for ongoing dialogue and policy reform to address disparities and ensure equitable treatment for Native American communities today. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.